probably the biggest mistake I have ever made in my business. Do you have time to actually make all of the items when the orders start rolling in? You're paying yourself what you're worth. So let's talk a little more about how wholesaling works so you understand the colossal mistake I made. Hello and welcome to Chester and Pearl headquarters. I am Tracy and I draw cute cat art that I use to make products that bring joy to cats and cat lovers. Today, I am sharing what is probably the biggest mistake I have ever made in my business. It pertains to wholesaling and pricing, and I made critical errors that resulted in me shutting down wholesale for the handmade items in my business. So everything in my shop features my hand-drawn artwork, and then I hand sew the cat toys that feature fabrics printed with my patterns. But then the stickers, magnets, notepads, bookmarks, all of those are manufactured. So I still wholesale those items, but all the handmade items, I had to stop wholesaling them because mistakes were made. And I wanted to share these wholesale and pricing mistakes, especially if you are a handmade solopreneur like I am, so that you don't make them as well. If you are a retailer, here's a little behind the scenes of what some of your brands might be dealing with. And if you're neither of those, I hope you'll continue watching for this little behind the scenes of what small businesses deal with, why we price our items the way we do, and just be along for the day with me. I actually have a lot of cat toys to sew today, similar to what I would need to do if I got a big wholesale order back when I was wholesaling cat toys. Today, though, we need to sew for a market that I have this weekend. So let's continue our conversation while I get some work done, and join me on the sewing side of the office. So what is wholesaling to begin with? Wholesaling is how small businesses get their products on retail shelves. For me, this means my products are in cat cafes and other cat themed or just other small gift shops around the country. And when a small business sells on wholesale, they are selling their products to the retailers at 50% off. So we sell them for half price, and then the retail shop makes their profit by selling it at full price. And at first glance, this can look bad for the small businesses because, again, we're selling our products at half price. But we're also selling in bulk. So that's the advantage of selling wholesale. It's like, yes, you're selling your products for less, but you're selling a lot at one time. Whereas just, selling on your website or even at a market, you're just selling one customer at a time for just a couple of items. So the advantage of wholesale is those big bulk orders. So let's talk a little more about how wholesaling works so you understand the colossal mistake I made. To complete these wholesale transactions, a small business owner can either find the retailers themselves and bill them through invoices, or I did it through Square in the beginning. But then there is also Faire, which is a wholesale marketplace. So think of that as like Etsy, but for retail shops. So just like how Etsy is a collection of all of these small businesses that sell their products individually to customers, Faire is a marketplace that has all of these businesses selling their product, but the customers are the retail shops who buy their bulk orders of products to sell in their shops. I am not associated with Faire as a sponsor in any way. This video is not sponsored, but I just want to explain a little bit about how Faire works, again, so you understand my problems. So retailers will log into Faire and they will search for products that they want in their shop. And when they place an order as a result of that search, Faire will keep a 15% commission. And in addition, they will also take an additional $10 on the very first order. So that is their finder's fee for this new retail customer for the small business. But if you do have a retailer that you have found, like there's a shop in town and you want them to carry your products, then you have a direct link that you can use. And in that case, Faire won't keep any commission. So as a little side note to retailers, especially if you are already aware of the brand, the business that you want to purchase from, always seek out that business's direct link, because then Faire won't keep any of that commission for that small business, because that commission lasts for every single order that is made from that first order on. So that's really basic, high level of how Faire works. So if that all sounds good to you as a small business owner, I mean, wholesaling is a phenomenal sales channel for your business. I do have a link below if you want to sign up for Faire, so you can check that out when the video is over. Okay, so let's start talking about when I first realized there was an issue. So I started wholesaling on Faire and getting more wholesale clients in the summer of 2022, so 3 years ago. And this past fall, I got pretty burnt out with all of the holiday orders that were coming in. Plus I was still doing markets, plus I still had all of my online sales and everything. And again, I'm the only one here to do everything. And during market season last November, I was literally spending all my time sewing cat toys. I didn't have time for anything else. I didn't have time for social media posts. I didn't have time to do, especially any of the drawing that I wanted to do. I was just sewing for wholesale, for markets. And I was anticipating it being a busy wholesale season based on the prior year, and fortunately didn't plan as many markets in November. I had 2 whole weekends that I did not have any markets during what is like a prime time for markets, where I would be selling all my cat toys at their full price, right? And I don't even get a lot of wholesale orders, I know, compared to other small businesses. Very few months was I getting even in the double digits, most of the time less than 10. This November was more than 10, but still it wasn't even 20. So this isn't even a lot of orders, but because I make everything by hand, it was all consuming. And there was no issue with the stickers I was wholesaling or magnets or notepads or anything like that. The issue was also that cat toys on Faire with my wholesale customers by far were the most popular product that I was selling. And it's a good problem to have. It means that people love these cat toys and cats love these toys. But it was becoming too much to handle. And even at that time, I was wondering, how am I even going to handle doing this next fall when I would probably have just as many wholesale orders, if not more, if I gain even more wholesale customers and retailers throughout the whole next year, throughout 2025. And then at the end of 2024, when I was doing all my year-end reporting, I love me a spreadsheet. And I was doing all of these reports on all my sales and everything. I had an aha moment, a very shocking report. And that was a absolutely pitiful profit total for my wholesale cat toys. So again, we need to take another sidebar here because I need to explain exactly what this profit number is, what it represents, especially for a small business, and why it's important that this number is adequate to keep running a business. Profit is not the amount that I pay myself. So I'm gonna talk through some numbers here, but stick with me because this is so important. So about pricing your products. When I first started my business, I took an online course. Pricing was discussed and how to price your products. And in that course, I learned that you should take your cost of goods sold, your COGS, and add that to the amount you want to pay yourself. So figure out what your hourly rate is that you want to pay yourself to make your handmade products. So you take that amount that you're paying yourself plus the COGS, times it by 2, and that is your retail amount. By multiplying that number by 2, you leave yourself room to offer sales and you have that profit built in for everything else that goes into running your business. So that is basically roughly how I price my products. Fast forward many years, about 2-ish years ago, I was realizing I needed more education for myself, for my business. So I invested in another online course that was specifically for product-based businesses. And that class taught a different pricing model. That is your COGS times 2, which I had learned, but that is your wholesale price times that by 2, and that is your retail price. So basically 2 times what I was charging for all of my products. And this model makes a lot of sense. Like, just look at the wholesale price. You're doing your cost of goods, the materials, the fabric, everything it takes to make a product, plus you're paying yourself. You times that by 2. So you're building in selling on Faire, where you're selling your, items half price. You're building in that 15% commission that Faire is keeping, plus that extra $10, plus paying yourself the extra time that you're taking to list the products on Faire and everything. More goes into the business than just the time you spend actually making handmade products. And then you take that wholesale price times 2 again for your retail price, and that is the profit that you're building in. Again, just everything in your business that is not the cost and time of actually making your product. So if you do events, that's vendor fees. That is because you pay a fee to go to every event, right? Then you're paying yourself to be at those events. It's like, yes, you might have built into the cost of your product the time it takes to make that product, but then between the time you're setting up, driving there, preparing for the event, many, many, many more hours are actually spent on that event, right? And so you need to pay yourself for that. That's part of being in business. And then outside of events, you're spending time marketing your business. You're on social media. You might be taking photos, especially, again, if you're a solopreneur like me, you're wearing all the hats and doing everything. And you're taking the photos and you're editing the listings and you're doing all of the business admin and you're paying taxes, and you might need new equipment. You might need a new computer. You might need a new sewing machine, some help. You might hire an accountant, a bookkeeper, someone to come help you fulfill your orders and package them up. You might have someone to help make your products. Just everything that goes into the cost of running the business. That is what you need the profit for. And that needs to be built into the cost of the products. And the thing is, I knew my prices, especially on these kickers, was a little too low because I have a spreadsheet where I figure this all out, and I have the cost of everything, and I figure in all of the fees for all the different possible ways that these items could be sold. If they're a first-time sale on Faire and they're being sold half price and have the 15% commission plus the $10. And I knew that on a first-time order through Faire, I was actually losing a little money. Like, the profit was in the negative by just a little bit, which meant that I was just paying myself just a little less than I would have wanted to make that. But still, it was in the hole. And I was okay with that because I figured if they place another order, which many of them do, then I would be making the profit again and I would have a recurring client with bulk orders. So this is a good thing, right? So with all that in mind and how products should be priced with that profit built in so that you can account for all of these things that go into running a business, at the end of 2024, I ran my reports. And for the Faire sales of kickers, so again, this is just one product through one sales platform, but still important to have this consistent through all your products so that you're running a sustainable business. I sold $10,000 worth of kickers on Faire. So half price on Faire. The profit, the amount left over after paying myself to make the products and pay for the materials to make the products, was $190. For the entire year, for making $10,000 worth of kickers. That number was a huge wake-up call. And compare that to a few thousand more dollars in gross that I sold at markets for the entire year, I profited over $7,000. So comparing $190 in profit to over $7,000 in profit. And pouncers were pretty similar. For wholesale, I ended the year with $482 in profit, so a little better than $190, compared though to over $6,000 in profit at markets. So as you can see, if I was profiting only $190 for making over 1,500 kickers for the entire year, I was in a hole. And if I were to focus on wholesaling and not diversify over my other sales channels, my business simply wouldn't be sustainable. So what's the solution here? I'm not making enough profit to have a sustainable business with this product. And I also just don't have the time to make it. It's all consuming and I'm not having time to do everything else I need to be doing for my business. So obviously one solution is to increase my prices, right? I know the correct formula now, right? I should take my cost of goods sold plus how much I want to pay myself times two. Boom, my new retail price. But I don't feel I can do that because the price that I would need to set for these kickers would be 70% higher than it is now. A 70% increase. I currently sell these kickers for $14, which is already towards the top end of what you can find these similar kickers for online. I feel like I do have a unique angle in that I do all of the artwork myself. The catnip I use, they have crinkle in them, all of that. So I feel really good with my $14 price. It's on the higher end of what you can get a kicker for. But with this 4X pricing model, I should be pricing these kickers at just over $24. And that's just not an option for me. I know any business coach will tell you to price your items what they're worth and you will find the customers for your product. But $24 for what I know, it's just a fabric cat toy. That seems excessive. And I know there are people out there who would pay that, but not the average person. I already know that $14 for a cat toy is high for a lot of people. I hear it at almost every market to my face. $24, I am pricing out the majority of my customers. So to me, that is not an option. So then we have the time issue. Well, fine, then I should just hire a sewist to help me sew all of these cat toys so I have time to do all the other things that I need to do for my business. But whoops, my kickers aren't priced correctly. So there's no room to pay someone. There's basically just room to pay myself. So if I am instead using that part of the price to pay someone else, then there is no money left for my actual business. Then basically I'm just paying someone to make these kickers and there's nothing left to go back into my business for my business to, again, be sustainable and to grow. So what was my decision? I felt like I couldn't increase my prices and that wasn't really an option because I didn't want to sell these cat toys for over $24 and I didn't have room in the pricing to hire anyone to help with the time issue. So that just left one solution, and that was to stop wholesaling the homemade cat toys. And I really hated disappointing my wholesale customers because they are hearing how good the cat toys are from their customers, after all. And, we're a small business working with other small businesses. And so I love that aspect of wholesaling, that it's small businesses helping small businesses. But this just absolutely was not sustainable. So I did give everyone a 2-week notice to get their final order in. And I do still offer wholesale to just a few local retailers. So I have literally just 3 wholesalers right here in town who sell my cat toys, and I've had long-standing relationships with all of them and know them personally, so they still offer my cat toys. And besides this whole financial aspect, I was burning out from spending too much time sewing. I couldn't imagine going through another busy fall holiday season sewing as much as I did last year. So even if my products were priced right, I don't want to sew 5 days a week. I didn't start this business because I love sewing. It's part of my business and I enjoy it, but I don't want sewing to be all of my business. I also want to draw and improve my art and record YouTube videos and have time for social media and all the other things that go into running a business. And I don't have time for that if I'm sewing 5 days a week, which would be the case if I was still wholesaling coming into this holiday season and doing markets and online sales as well. I could not be more satisfied with the decision that I made. I feel like it was definitely the right choice for my business and really the only way to climb out of this hole that I had dug for myself. I find that my mental health and my attitude towards my business has improved so much now that I'm not spending day in, day out behind the sewing machine. I need more variety in my days. And I find that on days like today, when I have a bulk sewing session, again, this one's for a market this weekend, I really enjoy it. And I enjoy coming to work again. So my business has definitely taken a hit from this decision. I mentioned that the cat toys are my best seller by far on Wholesale. So my wholesale totals are down as a whole because not as many buy the stickers and the magnets and all the other products that I sell wholesale. But I'm trying to make up for that in the meantime with more markets and increasing my shop sales as well. And I still wholesale everything other than cat toys. I have lots of cute stickers, magnets, notepads, bookmarks, new product coming out. I'll drop that right now. I have greeting cards coming out, actually sticker greeting cards. So they're like a gift and a card all in one. So if you are a retailer, check out my link below and you can still visit my Faire shop. So if you are a small business owner and you have not started wholesaling yet, this video is not meant to scare you away from it. Just remember the 2 takeaways: to make sure your products are priced correctly so that your business can be sustainable. And especially if everything is handmade, just be prepared to put in the time. And do you have time to actually make all of the items when the orders start rolling in? And if you think you might not, make sure you have a backup plan and are able to hire out and that your pricing can cover that. And if you're a small business owner who is already wholesaling, make sure your pricing is correct and that you're paying yourself what you're worth. And be honest with yourself. Are you on the road to burnout? And do you need to make any changes? Because the most important thing is that you stay healthy and keep doing what you love to do. And if you don't fall into any of those categories, thank you for making it to the end of this video. Oh my goodness, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this little behind the scenes of one aspect of running a small business. And I'm gonna keep snipping all of these threads for all these kickers and we'll get them stuffed later today so they'll be ready to go for our market. We're heading to Wilmington this weekend, so that event vlog will be the next video that comes up next week. Thank you again for watching. If you liked this video, please tap the like button below. Subscribe for more behind the scenes of small business and event vlogs. Again, there are so many more events coming. We are entering prime event season here in North Carolina. So thanks again for watching and I'll see you next time.